Hey guys, this is Jamie Gagan with JamieGagan.com and on Facebook, God's Garage. And we're working on our 87 Buick Regal Grand National today. Actually a Turbo T, Turbo V6 3.8. And I'm changing valve springs. And I know a lot of the guys on TurboBuick.com, I see a lot of posts on there about how to do it and what tools to use and things like that. I wanted to show something that I did. Went down to the junkyard, found an old 3.8 carbureted engine, and I bought a rocker shaft with all the rockers. And what you do is you remove the little clips that hold the rockers in place, little clips that are in there. You pop all of them out, take all the rockers off, and you just simply cut a notch in one of the original rockers, and then widen it just a hair with a pair of pliers or something. Weld a nut onto the back, and
it died.
No springs. If you look here, I've actually got the rocker arm shaft with a rocker arm assembly on it already taken off. And if you'll look, once you take off the 3 bolts to remove this rocker shaft, then you've got push rods that you have to take out. Now you have to be careful when you remove these, because if you drop them down in an engine, you have to take the intake off to get them. So once you get to that point, then you're ready for the next part of the video. Okay guys, I forgot a couple of very important things on doing this valve spring change on this Grand National. I was already in the middle of the project and just kind of caught myself in the middle doing the video. If you'll notice here, I have this hose threaded into the spark plug hole. What that hose is for is actually, you want to run compressed air into the engine to keep the valve seated. If you don't, and you get to messing with trying to compress that spring and get those locks loose, you'll wind up dropping the valve down into the cylinder. The only way to get that thing back out, if it goes far enough, is to take the head off. Nobody wants to do that. And another thing that you can do to keep that from happening is you can rotate the engine around until you have air coming out of that cylinder, and that way you know it's actually get it up to top dead center so that the piston's as high as it can be. If the piston is all the way up, the valve can only drop about 3/4 of an inch. You're not going to lose it if you happen to lose air pressure or accidentally knock the valve out. But another thing you have to do, if you look down here, I actually have a ratchet on the harmonic balancer pulley, and I have it seated up against the water pump, because when you put air pressure on this thing, it will turn that engine around and actually push the piston all the way to the bottom, and you'll wind up again dropping a valve in if something happens. So just wanted to add those couple little things, and now we'll get back to the video. And then the way you do a valve spring, you slide the rocker arm on and you just bolt the shaft back on just like you would, just like it belongs originally. And we're going to get this very last intake spring over here, so I can also show you exactly what's required in replacing the intake valve stems. So we take the rocker arm and we place it so that the little teeth are on either side of the lock, so that we don't accidentally get on a lock. And then we put our wrench on there, and I've actually got a breaker bar on here just to make it a little easier to hold. Now if you look up here at the top, I've already made a mistake and messed up my nice hood pad. Keep your hand on top of this thing so that you don't mess up your hood pad like I did. Alright, so we get on there, get it centered just exactly where it needs to be, and then we're just going to very easily pull down. You need to get over here a little bit, and then I'm going to use a magnet to pull the valve stems off. To pull the locks off of the valve stem. Alright, you can pull back. Now we just let the spring off, slide the rocker arm out of the way, and we remove the old valve stem. Now what I've got here for my car are these comp cam. It's upside down, but you can see it, 980-12 valve springs. I think they're about 75 or 80 pounds. There's one of my boys being crazy. That was what I saw recommended on the turbobuick.com and all the different websites. You reuse the old retainer. We've got the spring. Now, what I'm going to do now is come over here. I'm going to just take a short screwdriver, and if you look right here, I think you can see the valve seal on that valve. Now, only the intake valves have seals on these from the factory, because with the turbocharger, the exhaust is actually pressurized, which they expected that to be enough to keep oil from getting in there. If you've got an older engine, over 120,000 miles or something, and it's smoking a little bit, it could very well be that you need to have the valve guides cut down to put valve seals on the exhaust. But as the head is factory, the valve guides are too tall to put valve seals on it, on the exhaust. So we're only doing the intakes. So we take a screwdriver, and I don't think you can see. I think my arm's in the way. I don't think you can see there either. All right, so we're going to take the screwdriver, and we're just going to pop that up. It's just a little metal spring holds it on, and you can see there's the old seal. Mine weren't actually leaking, but I just have a really hard time taking something apart to where I could replace a maintenance item and not replacing it, so I'm replacing it anyway.
Because they're $2 each.
All right. What I've got here, the actual part number here is a Felpro SS72623, and we're gonna just put a dab of oil in here, just so that I don't tear up the rubber. And this valve spring set came with a little plastic tube. What that's for is we actually slide this little tube over the valve stem to keep the lock groove from tearing up the new seal as we put it on. Now we take the seal, and it's just a press fit. The little metal rings around it actually hold it in place. And you'll have to get a rag and clean the oil off to get the little plastic cover off, because it is super slick once it's got oil on it. All right, and now we're going to take our brand new valve spring, our old retainer. Actually, I noticed these valve springs are a little different. They have an internal damper spring. And another difference, if you'll notice, I'm not reinstalling the little oil, the oil cups on the bottom. If you reinstall these with these springs, you'll have more pressure than you need. Wouldn't be good for the cam. All right, so we're just going to carefully slide this over the valve seal and the valve. And something feels weird. What's going on here? I feel like I'm hitting something. Okay, it wasn't all the way down. All right, so now let's slide that there. Now we're going to slide the modified rocker arm over, and get our tool on here. And now, hand on top. Hand on top. Don't want to mess up the hood pad again. And we just pull that down. Now the valve locks, we'll put in one. And now do the top one. And it takes a little bit of maneuvering around to get them to go just exactly where they need to go. And voila. And that's pretty much all there is to it. The hardest part of the job was actually modifying the tool and welding on the nuts to it. Then all you do is just take the rocker shaft off and move the modified rocker arm to the next part, and you're ready to go. Like I said, we took a saw and cut right there, and we cut right there. I was able to grab with a pair of pliers and literally break that off. And then as far as widening this, when you widen this out, this metal is strong, but it's brittle. So when you widen it, you just want to pull it out just a hair, because it will crack if you're not careful. And also, when you're welding the bolts on, you want to make sure that you don't get any material where the hole is, or you'll have a hard time turning that. So, well, that's it. Thank you for watching God's Garage. Appreciate it if you'd like the video, share it with somebody, share God's Garage. Also, jamiegallion.com, JAMIEGALLIEN.com. That's my blog. I kind of talk about a little bit of everything. And see you next time. Thanks.